Welcome back, everybody. This is Rodrigo Fonador with Asheville Real Estate News. And today we are talking about marketing, entrepreneurial journey with a little bit of a focus potentially on content marketing or copywriting when it comes to real estate and just in general some of the thought process behind that. Little vague intro because honestly, I'm going to be asking some selfish questions here because I don't know a lot of this stuff, even though I'm excited about having this conversation, not 100% sure where we're going to go with it. So before I introduce our guest, as always, want to say big shout out, big thank you to our sponsor, American IRA. They're our local IRA custodian here in Asheville and been sponsoring the podcast coming up on to 1 year now. So thank you to them. So today we are talking with somebody who transitioned from a CMO role, started a copywriting agency, and then that evolved into something else, which is what we're here to talk about, which is I guess, founder of Business Bitch, and you've got your own podcast that's called the Business Bitch Podcast, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I should have clarified that. So without further ado, Chelsea Baldwin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Kind of got a look as I was going through your timeline there, so I'm sure I got something that was a little bit off as far as with the copywriting agency and the transition from a CMO. So there's some overlap maybe, and then you went fully out on your own, or maybe that's a good starting place to clear
well,
up
there's
the confusion.
definitely some overlap. So I graduated from Appalachian State in 2010 with a degree in journalism. And so 2010, that was 2 years after the big economic crash. And in the print media industry, this was also around the time like ebooks were getting popular and people were reading more newspapers online. Newspapers were going online. Like we forget that was a thing that happened, like a transition, but it really was. It's just so prevalent now that we don't think about it. But because of the crash and because everything was getting more digital, no one was hiring. So originally my dream was to work for newspapers, work for magazines, and then work for Rolling Stone to interview rock stars and, I don't know, write for them because I loved that magazine. But no one was hiring, so I had to do freelance writing online, which was just a way to make money, because I wanted to get out of my parents' house and I wanted to have the funds to do that whenever the job presented itself. Long story short, the job never really did present itself. I ended up getting an internship through an organization I was a part of in college, which is called ISEC, and they set up international internships for students and recent graduates. So I got an internship through them, ended up in India. 2 days after I started the job, the company closed the local office.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So did you go to India for this?
Yes, I did.
And you were there 2 days, and then they're like, hey, so change of plans?
There for more than 2 days. I didn't start for like a week, but then 2 days after I started the job, they were like, oh, well, you can move to Delhi, and we'll raise your salary by 6,000 rupees. You can come with us there. But I'd been to India before, and I didn't want to live in Delhi. I wanted to live in the city that I chose, so I didn't take them up on that offer. So I kept freelancing there, and I made friends in that city, and
what city was it in?
Chandigarh, India. So it's north of Delhi, about maybe 5 to 6 hours by bus.
Okay.
It's nice. It's like a government city. It was formed after India and Pakistan split as like a capital government city. Anyway, and they were like, oh, well, my friends, a lot of them worked for the same company. One of them was a designer. He said, we really need you because the web content sucks on the company's website. So we were on a weekend trip. When we got home, I looked up the website and it did suck. So I got the email of the boss. The CEO emailed him with like this nice sounding email. Went in for a job interview. First, I went in as a content writer. 2 weeks after that, they promoted me to content director. And then 5 months after that, I got promoted to CMO. And then, so I had this background in writing content online, and I used that to help me in these roles. But then when I wanted to quit my job, I knew that I could go back and do it. And then with my new skill set, I could do it even better and make more money. So does that answer that question?
Of course, but it creates a lot of other questions now, too. So how long were you in India for? Just
2 years.
That's a lot of happenings in 2 years.
Yeah.
So when you left India, did you leave the CMO role, or did you take that with you and you did it stateside?
No.
I'm assuming it probably could have, but...
Yeah, I mean, they have an office in San Francisco, so if I wanted to stay in that job, I guess I probably could have, but I was not really enjoying being an employee, especially in such a high-pressure role. I liked doing the work, and I liked seeing the results, and I liked the people that I worked with, but it was like I was burning through my sick and vacation days way more quickly than was sustainable. And I had freelanced before, and I was making a good salary for where I was, but like as far as comparing it to an American salary or a salary where in a country where the cost of living is higher than India, which is most other countries, it wasn't that great. So I just wanted to look out for myself financially and give myself more freedom because I loved traveling. And another thing at that time too, the company made you work like every other Saturday, which totally sucked. So
now you get to work every Saturday though, right?
No, I don't work every Saturday.
So you did that. So 2 years in. So what's 2012ish, 2013 when you made that transition?
No. So I skipped over a bunch of stuff because I did a bunch of short-term jobs. I taught English as a second language while I was freelancing. I quit my job in April 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I traveled around India, and then I went to Brazil, followed some friends there, and started my company in September 2015, the copywriting agency.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Why copywriting? Why not something else? Because, I mean, of course, I understand the words and writing, but why did you decide to go that route versus anything else? Yeah,
well, I already had skills as a freelance writer, so when I quit my job, I went back to being a freelance writer, but I knew that I wanted to have a business and I wanted to be high paid. And I had also seen in my role as content director and CMO how much of a difference the words on the page make to getting more results. Like you get more clicks, you get better clicks, you get more leads, you get better leads. You can get rid of leads that you don't want, that are crappy leads that just waste your time. So I was really fascinated with that, and I knew I had the skill and the talent to do that for a lot of people and to do a really good job of it. So that's why I focused on the copywriting. Yeah. And
did you have a specialty with the copywriting? Or a niche?
Yeah, I focused a lot on people who did a bunch of online business. So the businesses didn't have to be only conducted online. Mine was, but it didn't have to be, but who used the internet for marketing a lot. So I focused a lot on static content. And for people who don't know, static means content that is there, that stays the same for a long, long time, and you don't change it. So it's like your homepage, your about page, your landing pages, all of this, as well as like if somebody signs up for an ebook or a lead magnet or a free video from you, they sign up via email and you send out an email sequence to them, those emails stay the same too.
Right.
So I focused on that, and I focused on increasing conversions with those, so increasing the number of clicks, increasing the people who signed up, increasing traffic to the website, and increasing people who bought or who became leads. If it wasn't a business where it was like an immediate buy transaction, if it's a business like mine where somebody has to get in touch, like just increasing the people who get in touch before they hire me.
You're creating lots of good questions over here. This is great. So what was your favorite thing about all of those things? Maybe we'll just focus on maybe what your favorite part of the business was, because you were writing a lot and doing a lot of different things. So what was the part that you got the most excited about to do when, the work had to be happen?
Yeah, the thing I liked the most was after everything was written, seeing it in action, and then seeing the results that the clients got. So one story in particular, I worked with a client who was launching an online course. She was helping people learn certain skills to work at home for themselves. Like she focused on stay-at-home moms a lot. And we wrote a bunch of content for her. But we did like a pre-launch sequence, which was only 5 emails, and she sent it out to her list, and she had affiliates who sent it out to their list. But with those 5 emails over like 5 days, then on day 1 of actual signups, 12,000 people signed up. And so so I loved seeing things like that happen.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most signups I've driven in one day.
Yeah, that's that's arguably a life-changing type of signups,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's really exciting stuff. So all of this copywriting things that you were doing kind of leads me to something. I don't know if you would call it, but is that, in my mind, it kind of feels like content marketing a little bit in a sense?
Yeah, it's definitely content marketing.
Just didn't want to make sure I was using the right. So one of the things we've been working a lot on our end of things is doing a lot of content marketing and trying to just create evergreen, right? So get my terminology here. Evergreen content that just stays out there and doesn't so much sell, but it also educates more so. So I don't know what the ratio is, but we try to do more like, hey, like this is what's happening. This is what you can do. Why did you focus on that versus, I don't know, I'm going to use the word pitchy type of things, like just pitching things or whatnot. So, but I don't know. It seems like you had the ability to make a conscious choice and you chose that. So.
Yeah, well, there's a time and a place for pitchy type of content. Yeah. And I definitely wrote some of that. Like sales pages are pitching.
Yeah.
And then at the end of an email funnel or at the end of a launch, you definitely get into the pitching type of emails where you're trying to tell people to go to the sales page to sign up. These are the reasons. This is a good decision, that kind of stuff. But when you just start pitching straight out of the gate, it really puts people off, you know? So any business is a value for value exchange. And anytime you do anything with anyone, that's what it is. I mean, not to say that we're all transactional or we only do things if we're going to get a benefit, but that's what, I mean, but, you know, when you're, especially when you're in business and your end goal is to ask people for their money, you know, that's what it is. And so you need to create a level of trust, because if you come out of, like, if I come out of the gate asking you, hey, you should hire me as a business coach, I can help you do this, this, and that. And you're like, who the hell are you?
Context.
Like, what can you help me do? How do I know that you actually know what you're talking about? So providing that sort of evergreen content that helps people is a really great way to sort of establish that trust, to establish that ground where you sort of feel like equals with the person, where they feel like equals with you, and they, you know, there's trust there.
Right.
And then so when you do present the pitch, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is just what she's doing, or this is just what he's doing. If I want to take it to the next level, I can. But if not, they've still provided me value, and I don't hate them.
Well, not hating them would be good if you're trying to, you know, do some business together. But that makes sense. Like, that's one thing. So we've done a couple of things, and one of the newest we've been mailing out. So it's like little, like, I guess there were ebooks, but we weren't getting a lot of traction to get them. So it's like, all right, instead of having people come, we start sending them out to people, and the results have been really good for the most part. So I think it's good to hear that, I guess, validates that decision a little bit, plus the results. Like, okay, good, we're doing good things here. So what are you doing now, and why did you change from the copywriting agency to the, what's the business, is it called just Business Bitch, and that's the business name? Yeah, okay. It's businessbitch.com is the URL. Okay. So why did you do that from the copywriting agency? Yeah. Were things going that bad, that good? Were you bored? I mean, things weren't going bad. It's still, the copywriting agency is still up and running. I still have good clients. Before I came here, I was like submitting stuff to like a really big name client. Right. It's just, well, okay, to back up a little bit with the copywriting, because I had the marketing expertise, people could see it, and they started asking me, how do I do this? How do I do that? So the demand was there for trainings and for coaching. So I started creating coaching offerings. I did a bunch of e-courses and little e-trainings. At one point, I had a membership site that did copywriting training and online business training. And it went really well, and people loved it. I got lots of great responses, lots of great testimonials, but it got confusing. And I'm saying this with like hindsight is 2020. In the moment, it was just like, why isn't everything going the way I want it to? You know what I mean? But there's too many messages like under the same umbrella. There were too many. Yeah, exactly. And so people were like, well, I don't know
how to work with you or what, because I'm a coach, I'm a copywriter, but I teach copywriting. Like, what is,
what do you actually do?
Yeah. So in hindsight, I can see that it just evolved out of it. But I did a launch for the membership community, and it did not go, like, I got a ton of engagement from it, but the sales didn't go according to plan, which, happens sometimes in business. And this was like the first time I really had a launch that did not go well, because with that copywriting agency, we always got like at least double to triple results of like what was expected
so if you're
for
expecting 10,
sales and conversions.
Like 20 to 30
yeah.
or whatever? Okay.
Yeah. So that was like a really kind of slap in the face moment. And I was like, what is going on? So I took some time off from the business. I mean, I still maintained it, but I wasn't actively trying to grow it. And that was like beginning halfway through January, and then in mid-February, when I was taking this time off, the idea came in for this business, and it came in, like, the name came in, and I looked it up, and it was all available, which was amazing. Yeah, and then 19 days later, I had a business.
And off you went. So your name's a little like bombastic, if I might say. Is that just in general with like who you are personality-wise? Is it because you live here in Asheville? Like, what was the thought process, or how'd you arrive to that? Because like, I know for me, when I first started, I was like, okay, just don't make anybody angry. Try to make everybody happy. It seems like you definitely have like a really good confidence to just be like, hey, like, people are going to work with me if they want to, and if not, I'm good with that. Like, I don't know. Is that normal from your experience? Because now you get to do coaching stuff, so you see it on both sides.
So confidence has always been like a big part of what I build into my business, even with a copywriting agency. So with a copywriting agency, it's called Copy Power.
Okay.
It's a good name. And with that, I actually bought a book called Hello, My Name is Awesome, which is about how to name things. And so I went through the exercises in that book and came to that name. But I wanted to be really empowering and to give people confidence. And so that's always there in what I do. But to be honest, like, when that idea came to me, it wasn't because I was thinking of names or trying to come up with a name. I didn't even know that I wanted to create another business. But I was taking a shower and the name hit me, and I was like, as soon as the name hit me, all these other ideas started pouring in, and so I checked out the name online, and it was available. So I took it. I got a trademark like in the works, and
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, super fascinated by this. This could go on for a little while, but we are very much a real estate podcast. So if we could bring it in, and if you can give us 5 or 3 or whatever, what would be the best way to get started if you're in the real estate world a little bit, to just start creating some of that static content that is going to work for you for a long time? How do you get to writing good content marketing or whatever? Like, how do we start? Somebody's getting started in the industry, they have a website, it's doing okay, or maybe they don't even have a website. Where do they go, and what are the, I don't know, questions they should ask themselves maybe?
Yeah, I think, well, there's 2 answers to this question. One is the static content that you can create to get more people into your website, into your world. And the second is like, I don't know, selling more, right, with your copy. So the first one, to answer your question about the static content, bringing people in, creating that space of trust like we talked about before, is to create content that people are already searching for, information that people already want. And you do this via keyword research, and I hate the term keyword research because it's so boring. But there is a website that is not boring to do it on. It's called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. And you go there and you could type in, say, real estate or Asheville real estate or just Asheville. And you get all of these really great keywords of things that people are actually searching for. And in every single keyword, there's a question that's inherent in that keyword. Like I did it for copywriting with my copywriting agency, and I got copywriting for real estate, copywriting for artists, copywriting for photography. Like the list goes on and on. So I know exactly what to write. And I have this like copywriting for real estate video where I walk people through how to write copy for like a real estate listing. So that's stuff that's really easy usually for you to answer. If you're in the business, you know it. It's really easy to produce, and it's what people are searching for. So you can just use that keyword, that answer the public gives you as the title, publish that on your website, and it works really well for getting content out there and for ranking more easily in the search engines, because like everyone and their brother in this industry is going to be trying to rank for real estate in Asheville.
It's a little competitive out there.
Right?
Yes.
But this gives you, like, you can absolutely try to rank for that, but this gives you other keywords that people are also searching for that are actually more targeted than real estate in Asheville for the purposes of whatever your business is. So maybe you do rental properties, maybe business leases, maybe cash buying. Like, you can get really specific on that stuff and make sure you draw in the specific people that you want that are perfect matches for your business.
It's a good answer the public. I mean, just that alone. I did not. I'm taking notes.
It's like
so I'm very excited about
an
that.
amazing website.
Yeah. You said there's 2 answers to the question, though. So that's answer 1, and answer 2 would be?
Yeah, so that's writing the actual descriptions for, like, if you have a property that you're trying to sell or you want to rent. Which here I know, like, things go quickly, right? Like my apartment now, I was the first person to see it, and I closed on it the very next day. Otherwise, it would have been gone. Yeah, but you can get yourself into a situation where if it's a good property, you can have more bids, higher bids.
Well, I want to say, it's like, it is competitive out there, but it's not always going to be, right? So if there's a skill set that's going to...
Exactly.
Now's the time to be bad at something, because there's more margin for error, right?
Right.
So yeah, I guess I just want to come back as like, just don't brush off a skill set that's going to be valuable down the road. Right. Yeah.
So what? That's fine. So what a lot of people do with these, like property descriptions, which is what you see all across the board. So it's not just real estate that I'm picking on, like jewelry product descriptions.
We can pick on real estate. That's okay.
Everyone.
Right now,
yeah, but I just don't want people to feel bad, like I'm calling them out hard or something.
Well,
okay, but I am.
I think like it's interesting because, like, to your point, like it's you never want to get just because things are going well. Like sometimes it's because you're doing well. Right. Sometimes it's independent of what you're doing.
So so learning this skill is something that will always help you improve no matter what, like, the market is.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to highlight. I was like, just because things like this could be the difference 5 years from now between doing well or not, arguably, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just when people make these descriptions, they just make like the specs of what it is. Like, it's a 2-bedroom house. It has wood floors. I mean, I'm not really in the market to buy properties, but you know what I mean? Like, it's located in this neighborhood, built in 1924, like, whatever.
Right. It's basically describing a picture, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And people can already see that in the picture. And that stuff is not bad to have in the description. Like, you can put it at the end so people can, like, know these details if they want to know these details. But what's more important to create first is the emotional attachment to the property. So one of the things that I like to do, that I help people do, is if I'm helping a real estate agent with the property, I'll just look at pictures of the house or whatever, and I'll, like, describe what it's like to be inside that house, which if you're a real estate agent, you can do that because you get to visit the property. So even features that are maybe not, like, popular now, like if, I don't know, a house has too much wood in it or something. I don't really know interior design, but some houses or whatever will have these features that...
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What are the emotions that you're trying to evoke?
Yeah, so
maybe let's not get into the actual wording to use, but, like, what are you trying to draw out of people? Yeah,
so you're trying to draw out an attachment. You're trying to draw out them imagining themselves there. So... But the thing is, when you get into the details of what you're talking about, that's where the emotions can attach, especially if you have images where that they can see that they're like, oh, yeah, this matches this matches that. Oh, this is so cute. So even if there's, like, this old, like, floor tile from the 1970s or whatever that some people would think ugly, some people would think it's charming. So you can say it's, like, charming, funky kitchen with a 70s vibe. If it's a den area, like, you can talk about how the sunlight comes in the morning. You can talk about just get into the details of the moment, of the moments that the person would spend in that house or in that office or whatever it is that you're listening. Yeah. And that, like, it's so simple, but nobody does it.
I'm curious to know what your opinion on this. I'm assuming copywriting, you would argue, is a skill set, right?
Yeah.
And so like all skill sets, some people are just going to have a little bit more of natural talent or ability than others. Is it worth developing if you don't have it? Or is it something that's easy enough to hire out that you just hire it out and you focus on developing or growing other skill sets? Like, how would you make that decision, or how would that conversation go with somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually not as hard of a skill set to develop as some people think. So like the way I teach it is a really easy approach, which is like get into the details, get into the moment. It's not like, okay, let's sit down and write a product description that's going to get lots of bids and sell, because that's a lot of pressure. But when you can sit down and like describe the living room and what it feels like to be in that living room, that's much easier. And even if you can't, like, if you have some sort of block when your fingers hit the keyboard, you can just speak it out and then transcribe it. Like, that's the perfect way to write copy, if you ask me. But it is something that you can hire out. However, I see a lot of people trying to hire it out, and it just falls really, really flat, because there are a lot of writers or copywriters out there who will say they're experts on conversions, but they haven't studied the human brain. They don't know what they're doing. Like, they haven't actually run experiments to test data and stuff like this.
Have you run experiments to test data?
Yes.
Very cool. So I want, first question is, what is that experiment, or what are those experiments like? And then second question, I'm gonna say it so I don't forget, is what are the questions we should be asking if we're looking to hire somebody? Because a lot of, you can't do it all. Copywriting just seems like that's something that's a logical outsource. So we'll come back to it. What type of experiments or data collecting are you doing?
Yeah, so basically, like for example, when I worked a CMO for the app development company, we would just, you can do these things called A/B tests, but I know that's maybe complicated for people to hear, but basically you just take the data of how something was performing for, let's say, a month or 2 months, and then you change the copy, and then you see how it performs after. And you compare it, and you see what works better.
So what type of questions are you asking somebody that would do that type of data collection and, exploration, so you're developing good ad copy?
Yeah, so...
Like, maybe I'll rephrase the question.
Okay.
I'm going to go hire somebody.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, Chelsea, I'm going to go hire an ad agency. I just need somebody to help me with my writing. Can you give me a couple of, like, 3 to 5 questions I should ask them to find out if they're real or not? Yeah.
So I wouldn't go with somebody who only focuses on numbers.
Okay.
You need to go with someone who talks about emotions of their own will and not because you've drawn it out of them. Who talks about having an emotional connection with the audience. That's really important. If someone can hold their own in a conversation about that, they're probably more than likely good and know what they're doing. Ask to see what kind of copy they've written before. Compare it to stuff that's in that's in the same niche, and if their stuff is like much better than what's typically out there, that's a good sign. Yeah.
That's perfect. I know we've kind of gone all over the map a little bit on this. I want to make sure that I also give you a platform to just say something like, did we miss anything? Should I have asked you something that I haven't asked you? What, if you want a soapbox, here it is.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like a plan for your content too. So it can be like really basic. But to know what you're going for and what you want to do. So if you know you want to dominate Google with some of your content, and you're not going to go for the real estate Nashville keyword, you need to pick out the keywords that you do want to and publish like a post, say, every other week or something, and just have a plan and stick to that. Because content marketing is about consistency. It's not about an overnight spike from like ads or something. Like, you can use ads, of course, but once you stop paying for ads, the business stops being sustained. But with content marketing, if you build it up over time, the business keeps being sustained. Like my copywriting agency, I don't do anything. to get new leads in, and they just keep coming in because I have this content marketing out there.
Awesome.
And I haven't produced any in at least a year. So
it's legit business then. So let's talk about what you're doing right now. How does somebody connect with you, and if they want to consult with you or get coached by you, or just, I don't know, follow your journey on the podcast and things like that? What's the best way for people to connect with you?
So I'm most often on Instagram, and my tag is @BusinessBitchChelsea, which is all one word. Chelsea is CHELSEA. My website, businessbitch.com, is where the business coaching is hosted. And I specialize in people who are starting businesses or who have started a business, but it's still small and they want to grow it. And the copywriting agency is getcopypower.com, if you want to check all that stuff out there.
Who is getcopypower.com for?
That's for people who either want to learn how to do copywriting for themselves or who want to hire it out. So on the website, there's a freebie tab or a free copy course tab. If you want to learn it for yourself, you can do that. There's also lots of blog posts with videos showing you how to do it, like the copywriting for real estate video. And but also we offer services. So
very cool. Awesome. All right, closing words?
Have faith in yourself and keep doing it, because a lot is possible.
Awesome. Well, on that note, thank you guys for coming out. We will see you all next week. Appreciate it. And get out there, get writing. And if not, now you know where to kind of get that process started. As I kind of hinted through a couple moments in this episode, we're huge believers in the content process. It's done a lot of good for us, and we're personally trying to just tweak it and improve on it. So hope everybody enjoyed it. As always, let us know, leave us a rating, review, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.